don't have a singing bowl. So my dad found me a little bell from Santa Barbara, which I thought was nice because that's where our incoming Reverend Laura is from. And then after I start the worship with the singing of the bell, we are going to have our prelude music by Travis. Let us worship.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must a cannonball fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Right, thanks so much for that. Good morning, everybody. My name is Zach Stickney, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at the South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. My pronouns are he and him. Come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how to speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. You are welcome here. No matter what you have experienced in the past, no matter what awaits you in the future, You are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society.
Thank you, Zach. And thank you all for joining us today. I had a little trouble coming up with this service. It's been a little, like many people, it feels like a crazy time. There's a lot going on in our world, socially, and for many of us, our work lives have changed. And so, admittedly, I am a procrastinator, especially when I am anxious. So I want to say thank you to Brenda, because I called her and asked for her help. And she stepped in and really helped bring this service together. So I want to say thank you to Brenda. And it's a humble reminder for me to reach out and ask for help when I need it. And so we thought that patriotism would be a good topic for the 4th of July weekend. And I don't know about you, although I assume that many of you will join me in feeling mixed about patriotism right now. We are struggling as a country, and there's much that I am proud of that has occurred these past several months. I think the people of America have come together and really started to respond to the Black Lives Movement, and there are a million examples of how people have come together and helped everyone affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. But I also grieve that we are going through so much change with the pandemic, with unrest in the streets, and far more threats of violence against each other than there should be. And also this weekend, I was able to watch Hamilton for the first time. So it's on Disney Plus now, and I had never seen it before, and I actually hadn't listened to the music. I had bought the CDs, and I put it in my car immediately, and it instantly got stuck in my car radio, and it's still there. So, and it won't play. But I loved watching Hamilton, and I feel like watching it now in 2020 has shown a new light on it, which I'm going to share more later. So watching Hamilton was lovely because I got to see that even at the founding of our country, there was probably mixed feelings. There was mixed feelings, and there was a lot going on. And so our feelings right now are natural and historical. And I love that there's a line right in that story that says how lucky we are to be alive right now. And I think right now we are going through a historical shift, and I feel lucky to be alive right now. So all of that to say we're going to have our opening hymn, which is A Spirit of Life, and Travis is going to perform it. The lyrics will be in the chat box, and we will be muted, but please sing along at home if you would like.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
But now we are going to light our chalice. Zach is going to, or Anne is going to put the chalice lighting words in the chat box. If you have a small candle or chalice of your own, we welcome you to light it with us. Zach is going to unmute everyone. Feel free to stand as well. I'm going to stay seated as we say our chalice lighting words together.
Oh, and sorry, just real quickly, but my unmute all button has appeared to disappear, but you all should have the ability to unmute yourself if you like. Go together.
Oh, it went.
I think I was able to get it. Well, I was.
There we
It
go.
worked.
Okay.
Hey.
Light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, for the
energy of action.
Yes.
I waited too long. I would like to welcome you to this morning to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. We are an intentionally diverse religious community, and all are welcome here. We would like to extend an especially warm welcome to those of you who are visiting us for this first time. We are so glad you're here. We would love to get to know you. Our greeter today, Anne, is going to drop our connection card into the chat box for any of our newcomers so you can be connected to our community. This is a caring, supportive community. During this time of physical distancing, we are working to be creative in how we take care of each other. A group of members are actively reaching out to folks in our community and will continue to do so while we are in this pandemic. The pastoral care card has been put on our chat box and website, and it's in the link that Anne is going to put in the chat box. All of our online services are intergenerational. Our RE gatherings are taking place in a separate time most weeks. To find out more about the RE classes, review the Happenings newsletter and contact Rebecca Britt, the Director of Religious Exploration, at her email address that Anne is going to put in the chat box. To keep updated on activities that are part of South Valley community, we encourage you to use the Google Calendar on the South Valley website. If there are activities that you know of that are not on the calendar or you would like to host a group gathering, please use the reservation form on the website or contact Cindy Martin, our administrator. Although we are physically separate, we are still connected. So right now, we are going to share the warmth of community. So please take this time to say hello to each other in the chat box, and please say where you're joining us from. So you will also be unmuted. Hello, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Good to see your beautiful faces.
So
Good
morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Morning. Oh, on this beautiful day.
Morning. Good to
Morning.
see
Hi,
you.
Bill.
Good morning,
Hi,
everyone.
Bill.
Morning.
I'm between Fillmore and
Hi,
Weaver
Amy.
driving to California.
Well, be safe.
Yeah, be safe driving.
Amazing
Hi,
looking
Kari.
view, isn't it?
Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Sorry, Chris. Yeah.
Colin.
Ooh, she's got the San Francisco Bridge behind her.
I do.
Laurel's laying on a hammock. Nice.
I wish my hair was blowing in the wind.
Stan.
Oh, hammock time today. That's a good one.
Nice. Hi, Sandy.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hi, Ellen.
Morning. Hi. Even though I can't see your faces, I can see all these people who are joined.
Hi, Miles.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hey, everyone. We're gonna now mute everyone again and turn to Rebecca for the time for all ages.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to warn you that I'm going to be looking off camera to read our story, but the story is going to be projected. So I asked Porpoise and Fish at the beginning if they want to be the stars, and they said, well, Fish really said, I have no idea how exhausting it is to be celebrities, and they really needed a rest. So I said, that's okay. It doesn't have to be about you. And he said, no, that's not what I meant. It should still be about me. So they asked me to tell you about the ocean. Let's get this shared. So this Time for All Ages is The Pacific Ocean, the introduction by Porpoise and Fish. And the book is The Pacific Ocean by Kyle McLear and Katie Mari. So the Pacific Ocean is on the it starts at the west coast of our country and goes all the way to Asia, coming to Japan and the east coast of Asia. So within the Pacific Ocean, that's where porpoise knows they're from. Porpoise lived with a community of other porpoises or porpi, and they live all the way from the top of Alaska down to the side of Mexico on the Pacific Ocean. So he really liked living there with other porpoises or porpi. But before they left, they learned, I'm sorry, I misgendered you. Before they left, they learned that they might have heavy metal toxins in their body and their bones from pollutants. And so that's kind of why they came to a Unitarian Universalist church, because they really want humans to get involved and passionate about helping the ocean. All right, now Fish knows exactly who he is, knows what he likes about himself, what he's working on, but he doesn't really know what words humans use to describe his species, and he's really okay with that. And he's also not quite sure where he's from, but he's pretty sure, he's from something called the coral reef, which we see in this picture. It almost looks like it's stone or rock, but the coral reef is a living thing. And Fish, like Porpoise, came to Salt Lake City. But before he left, he knew that the coral reef was getting bleached and getting harder to live in and more not habitable. And it was because of rising ocean temperatures and pollutants. And like Porpoise, he was really hoping humans would learn more about the ocean. But they realized most people, maybe not most, but lots of people don't see the ocean in their life in America, and that's really okay, but they want them to still learn about the ocean. So they found this book about a family that goes to the ocean for the first time, and they wanted me to read it. So that's what we're gonna do. So my face is gonna be looking away from the camera, so I'm reading on my computer. This is called The Pacific Ocean, and it's written by Kyle McLear and illustrated by Katie Mari. Today, we leave for summer vacation. I do not want to go. I want to stay in the city with my friends. But Papa says, no, we're leaving. At the airport, I drag my suitcase behind me. There'll be nothing to do. On board, I feel the rumble of the plane as we climb up above the busy streets and tiny rooftops. We leave through puffs of cloud and the city is gone. In the picture before what I said, there's the girl lying in her bed, does not want to get up, and the city's in her window. She does not want to go to the ocean. And now we see a picture of a grassy shore and a small black house, and behind it the ocean. We're staying at a boxy house on the Pacific Ocean. All we can see is water, a never-ending roll of gray, blue, white. Dull, droning, dreary water. What do you think? Asked my older brother. I shrug. Then I go count the days until we can get home. Now we have a picture of the little girl just kind of lying in the window, doesn't want to do anything. The next morning, my brother races down to the ocean. Oops, sorry. Mama nudges me to follow him. I shake my head. I know the water will be cold. Steal your breath away cold. I'd rather do nothing. And so we see a picture. She's written a schedule for herself. 9 a.m. to 10, wake up. 10 to 11, play chess. 10:30 to 11, pull loose thread. 11 to 12, stare at the walls. And that's her moping schedule. Now we see the child and her mother walking to the beach. On the third day, I follow along slowly, grumbling down the path. The water is cold, even colder than I thought. We wade in and swim fast. We swim along rocks. We swim through spots of warmth. And now we see the child and her brother in the water. The next morning, I jump out of bed, a flurry of bed sheets. My brother rushes to catch up with me on the beach. We float on our backs, and the wind blows ripples across the water's surface. And those ripples grow into waves that lift us up, up, up. And we see their feet in the water. Later, we walk along with the seabirds along the shoreline, where the tide rolls backwards and forwards and covers our feet. Splish, 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 splish. The whole world rushes ahead, but the ocean does its own thing, rolling backwards and forwards. Wash, swash, splush, tush. There's no late or hurrying or racing in ocean time. Now we're seen underwater, and it looks like it might be like the coral reef that fish lives in. Here's a secret. I used to call it the Pacific Ocean until my brother corrected me. But he doesn't know that a place can have two names, one that's correct for saying out loud, and one that is private for saying in your head. Now we see the brother and sister looking at the ocean. When the sun comes out, we sit on the rocks and watch the waves. Shine, glimmer, gleam, glow. It makes me dizzy to imagine where the sea ends. The ocean is so big that it makes every thought I have shrink and scatter. And we see the girl holding a big fishbowl. But one thought stays. I want this ocean to be mine. Mama has a snowy mountain in Japan, and Papa has South Downs in England. I want this ocean to be mine. I want to put it in a bowl and carry it home to the city. If I had my own ocean, I could let my thoughts swim free and dream of an underwater life. We're seeing the girl imagining she's so big she can see the whole ocean. I want to put the ocean in a bowl, but my brother, who does know some things, says that if I do that, the ocean will be less. He says the ocean may be big, but it isn't endless. I try to imagine the earth with no ocean. The coast bump together, the bright coral reef drain of color, the large yellow moon lose its mirror. And we see the brother comforting her on the beach, putting his hand on her back. How about a glass full of the ocean? I asked my brother. He shakes his head. So I leave the ocean as it is for next time. Now we see the girl imagining her floor as the ocean in her bedroom. Tonight is our last night here. I don't want to go. As the ocean grows quiet, I can hear it. I can hear the sound of the waves rolling in and out, backward and forward. I hear the dolphins splashing and the herring jumping and the whales singing their underwater songs. I can almost hear the quiet snails and sleepy starfish near the bottom where it's too dark to see. If people ask, I'll tell them the ocean is full of noises. And then I'll tell them if they listen carefully, they might even hear the ocean in their own breath. Hush. Just imagine she's scuba diving with a flashlight. My brother, who sometimes surprises me, that there is still so much we do not know about the ocean. The ocean is full of mysteries. Now we're seeing fish that I'm going to label. But I can imagine every swimming thing from reef to reef, moving down into the ocean's secret places where I cannot see them all. All those creatures are silent and invisible. And that's when I know I don't need to put the ocean in the bowl. She's imagining clownfish, Dumbo octopus, seahorse, lion's mane jellyfish, and firefly squid. Now she's back in the city in her room. Because even when I go home, back to the city and my friends, it will all still be there deep down inside me. Calm blue, ruffled gray, playful green, mysterious, black, foggy, silver, roaring white. No matter where I am, this specific ocean will be with me. The end. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was awesome. It's our practice at South Valley to share our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. And for July and August, our social justice team has decided that we will share our offering with Black Lives Matter Utah, a local group that has been working diligently to stop police brutality. They are fighting for police accountability and transparency and are pushing for community-controlled civilian police review boards and police reforms. They also create inclusive places for every marginalized group. They offer a summer camp for Black and Brown children and are constructing a mobile Black History Museum. South Valley has an app for giving. We have an account with Givelify, and this allows South Valley to continue receiving funds to support our work, and in this case, the work of Black Lives Matter Utah during this pandemic. You're invited to give using the link that Anne is going to put in the chat box, or you can go to your phone and download the app. And using this app helps us tremendously. And we'll also put our offering words now in the chat box. We won't unmute, but please say them along with me. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge and beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Breathe the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailing song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or fort have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Thank you. Please join me in spirit as we bless this offering. For all we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly thankful. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to Black Lives Matter Utah. Thank you. As I said earlier in the service, I just watched Hamilton for the first time. And for those of you who may not be aware, it is a musical about Alexander Hamilton and his friends and his wife during the American Revolutionary War. And it is very creative and fun and beautiful and moving. But it also deals with a lot of difficult subjects like abuse of power, racism, the use of violence and war. And it also deals with, sexual relationships and abuse of power in that matter as well. And all of that feels very real and present in the modern day world. So I want to share a little clip of the creator of Alexander, Lin-Manuel Miranda. So one moment, let me share my screen.
I'm spamming. At Lin-Manuel, if you had finished writing #Hamilton after reviewing the events that have unfolded in the US in 2020 so far, would you have written it any differently? Any guess at how it may differ?
That's a fantastic question. One of the sort of great surprises of Hamilton is that it doesn't change. We haven't changed the text of this show since 2015, and yet it feels like it changes because the world around it changes so fast. Things that popped out when Obama was president may not be the things that get a reaction when Trump is president. Immigrants, we get the job done, certainly gets a different reaction. If there's anything political about the show Hamilton, its thesis is everything good or bad that was present at the founding, at the roots of this, the birth of this country, are still present. The fights we had then are the fights we are having now. Conversations we're having about systemic racism and abuse and police brutality and about revolution. Those are all still present. I'm gratified and humbled when I see lyrics from the show at Black Lives Matter protests. But because we are dealing with the origins of this country and how it's based on ideals that we fell short of the moment we wrote them down, I'm well aware that every single one of these characters, even though they sing songs you love, are complicit in the original sin of slavery, whose legacies are still being felt to this day. The lyrics about that in the show, I think, hit differently in this conversation than they may have in 2017, 2016, or 2015. I think one of the biggest themes of the show is you don't get to control how you're remembered. You don't get to control how you're remembered or who survives you. And the show doesn't escape that fate either. And so different things within it will rise or fall based on where we are.
So my journey with patriotism, like many, has probably changed over the years. I grew up in a school where we said the Pledge of Allegiance along with the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag, along with the Pledge of Allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Bible. So patriotism was very much linked to Christianity for me. And to question one was to question the other. And so I was taught in a very unspoken way, but a very strong and persistent way, that to be patriotic is to have a blind faith that this is the best country and this country comes from God, that there's this direct link. But then as I got older, and learned more about history, things started to change. I was probably in middle school when we had a guest speaker come, and he talked about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the amendments. And he said something that still speaks to me this day, on this day, and I carry it with me ever since. He said that it's not a right if it infringes on the rights of others. And that at the time, as a child, that kind of blew my mind. That it really pushed back on the assumptions I had about what it meant to have human rights and what it means to be a citizen. And it shifted my view from this is about me and my rights and what I get to do and my freedom to this is about us. And this is how we are in, that we are in this together, and that our rights are communal and they impact each other. And as a child, that didn't go very far, obviously, but it did stick with me. And then as I continued to grow and learn more about American history, and about, so I was taught at this school, that they didn't shy away from our sins, and they would call them that, sins, of our origin in this country and our history in this country. I was taught very much about slavery and that was wrong. And I was taught about what we did to Native Americans and the indigenous peoples of America, and that was wrong. And I was taught about the segregation and the civil rights movement and that oppression of African Americans were wrong. But I was taught that in a way that implied that that's our past and that we're no longer dealing with that we have moved on and we're in a new place, and we're good and we're better for that. And so then, yay, America. But as we all know, it's not gone. We have a lingering legacy of those sins, of those injustices that continue to this day. And I think that it's what we're seeing today in the culture world that's happening is there's a confusion between what happened historically, thinking that those are individuals that did these bad things, and what's happening today, and not understanding why people are still upset about something that happened so long ago or not so long ago. And so there's a failure to recognize that this is a system of oppression that is that has been set up and is still impacted by those injustices of the past. And I think when we use the word system, people don't fully take that in. System seems distant, that we are not part of it. There's a business system, or there's a corporate system, or there's, it seems more mechanical rather than a culture of a community and or a individuals making decisions that impact a multitude of persons and continue to perpetuate injustices or wrongs. And so it's a challenge, even for myself, to think about systems, because it feels also very big and difficult to change, and you feel isolated and alone, isolated and without power when sometimes when we talk about systems. But I also think that talking about a system or a culture can also be helpful. And I think about another system that I am a part of, and that is the medical system. So I am a hospice chaplain. I work in the medical field, which right now isn't the easiest thing. Due to the pandemic, I cannot see most of my patients. And I am often separated by 6 feet, by a mask. They cannot see what I use most of the time, which is my face, to convey that I'm listening or that I feel what they are saying. I am calling people more, and that also feels like a separation and a miscommunication over the phone, because we're not able to see each other and understand each other. And due to kind of the limits of technology and people who, I work mostly with the elderly, so there's hearing impairment and cognitive impairment that prevents, phone or Zooms from working. So, but something about the medical system that I appreciate is that there's an attempt to balance individual rights with communal welfare. So right now we're very much focused on communal welfare and protection. So long-term care facilities like assisted livings and nursing homes and hospitals are all kind of shutting down and not allowing even hospice workers to enter their building so that they can limit as much as possible the spread of COVID-19. And so that's a system that is thinking about trying to protect as many people as possible. And it has some limits and flaws, and unfortunately is causing isolation and depression. But it is protecting my patients and helping them be safe. And when I think about them, I don't think about this population of elderly people. I think about their names and their faces and their families and those relationships. And when I call families and I ask them how they are doing with this ongoing, seeming to never end pandemic, they one have gotten somewhat used to it. They miss their loved ones very much. But over and over again, I'm hearing that they are grateful that the nursing facilities and the hospice care teams are doing everything that they can to protect their loved one. Because to them, it's not someone who's far away, it's their loved one, it's their spouse, it's their parent, it's their friend. And so our perspective, I'm noticing, or my perspective is shifting back and forth between this communal effort and the impact it has on individuals, both in the good and in the bad. And sacrifices are being made. It is not perfect right now. There's so much more that I wish that we could do or are doing to address this pandemic. But I think about, how much the medical system has to balance those things of both the individual rights to choose, the individual right to be connected with their loved one. Right now, they're not allowing religious services to occur in nursing facilities and assisted livings. Normally, my patients, especially the ones who are LDS, are able to participate in services. The branch will come to the facility and hold Relief Society meetings and sacrament meetings, and they have this connection to their faith community, and that now is not happening. So their right to religious freedom or to practice their religion is being limited by the need to protect the community and to protect them. And so it is sad, but everyone is trying to be as understanding and as patient with each other as possible. And in that, there have been moments of grace, moments of beauty. I have had actually lovely conversations with family members over the phone that probably wouldn't have happened if we weren't in this pandemic. And family members are being more creative with how they connect with their loved ones. And people are appreciating so much more those precious moments that they are able to create connections. And so I think about how kind of beautiful that system is, although imperfect. It is filled with individuals in a community that is trying to address a challenge and create a new way of doing things, a new world, new medical world that meets a multitude of needs. And so I think about how we can do that in our country. And because we are a community with communal needs and individual needs. And we need to be able to balance that. But what I think happens is when we're focused so much on the communal society and we forget about those who might not be in our view of what that society looks like. So those on the margins. And so right now, I think we do need to push ourselves, and I'm very much including myself, to refocus on who are the individuals that I don't have in my view of what it means to be this community. Or are there individuals or individual communities that are calling out for help? Right now, we have the Black Lives Matter movement that's calling out for help. Right now, our indigenous peoples of this nation are crying out for help and saying, we are still, like, our needs are still not being met. I was shocked to learn that in San Juan County, and here in Utah, that on the reservation, they didn't have running water. Like, to this day, it's 2020 and they didn't have running water, and I was shocked by that. I had no idea. So we become a better community when we refocus and try to meet the needs of those individuals whose needs aren't being met right now in this, or those who are being abused by the system. And by addressing those needs, I feel that we will then become a greater society, a greater community. And when our community is healthy, our society, like when everyone is healthy and their needs are being met and justice is prevailing, then we have a better society, a healthier society. So I hope that we can learn from what's happening right now. There's a line in, I think I said it earlier, in Hamilton, where aren't we lucky to be alive right now? And even though there's kind of threat of war and so much is changing, the fact that history is changing at that time is amazing and exciting, and there's goodness in that. And I think that that's in many ways what we are going through right now, that we are changing as a society and there are growing pains, but I'm glad that we're changing. I'm glad that we are recognizing the holes in our system or the intentional injustices in our system and trying to correct them. So I'm grateful to be alive right now. So thank you for letting me share those thoughts. I gotta find where I'm supposed to be next. Do we have our closing hymn?
My hope is that everybody sings along with this. I think the words are going to be in the chat box. I hope. Anyway, thanks for that very thoughtful sermon. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust to wisdom in and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. Heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, when we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. Our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts is within, and we feel the power in each other's faith, well then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place.
Thank you so much, Travis. So Anna's going to put the chalice extinguishing words in our chat box, and Zach will unmute us all. You're invited to stand and say our chalice extinguishing words together. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of community, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again. I want to thank everyone for coming today. And I pray that as we continue on this journey during our pandemic and our changing society, that you will reach out for help if you need it. That you remember that you are not alone, even though you may feel that you are alone. And that we love you. And we are a community together. We're here for each other. So please reach out and love each other. Thank you. Are we going to take a break for social hour?
Thank you, Cinnamon. What an amazing service. Please, everybody, take a 10-minute break, and then Marilyn Smith will be back with you to have some fun. Stay in the same chat room, turn off your video for 10 minutes, come back, however you want to do it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.